Welcome, Gemini, to the month of July 2018. I'm Megan of North Star Astrology, and this is another general transits reading for those of you born with your sun, moon, and or rising signs in the third zodiacal sign of Gemini, the twins, and the glyph representing duality. Okay, so the month starts out with your ruling planet Mercury in your third house of communications, where you naturally reside, Gemini. And upon July 1st, Venus, which is also transiting your third house, opposes the moon. So from the third house to the ninth house, from the conscious mind to the superconscious mind, or higher mind, or higher education, whichever you prefer, as this is the house of, or where Sagittarians naturally reside, your opposite sun sign, which then also rules the higher mind. And so with Venus in your third house in Leo in opposition to the moon, there is a point of awareness, as I like to say, or the 180-degree angle aspect toward how you lovingly convey or communicate with siblings, perhaps, or through short distance travels. But with this opposition, however, there could be some tensions to watch out for, because it is emotionally charged with Venus. And this moon, the moon in Aquarius, being electric, so there's a little bit of a, I would watch out for testy emotional interchanges. Then on July 4th, happy 4th of July, by the way, and Independence Day. On July 4th, Pluto sextiles the moon. When the moon goes into your 10th house of career, and Pluto is over here in Capricorn, transiting your 8th house of sex, death, and taxes, and other people's resources. So with this pleasant sextile between Pluto and the moon being in Pisces now in your 10th house of career, you now have a pleasant, emotional, and maybe even transformational ability to manifest something from others, maybe learning of others' values, as well as manifesting other people's resources when you need it. Then the last quarter moon happens in your 11th house of friendships, goals, wishes, and hopes in Aries at 14 degrees Aries, 13 minutes, which then on the following day there happens to be a trine. So Venus, still transiting your third house of communications, then forms a trine from the fire sign of Leo to the fire sign of Aries, and this very harmonious aspect between the moon and Venus now gives you the ability to communicate lovingly and emotionally with your friends and or group events. Then on July 9th, Venus then squares the moon. Once the moon then is 3 signs away or 3 houses apart, from, so now the moon in Taurus in your 12th house of the subconscious mind now makes a 90-degree angle or square to the communication house or your naturally residing house with, and together back and forth, the moon and Venus, causing maybe a little bit of anxiety and or tension between what you love and emotionally how you're able to tap in to your subconscious mind versus your conscious mind, and there's that little bit of a challenge or tension with this square. Then on July 10th, Neptune squares the moon once the moon enters your first house and goes into your sign of Gemini, squaring the other mutable sign of Pisces. So since Neptune is now in Pisces and the moon then goes into your sign, into Gemini, you're a mutable air, Pisces is a mutable water sign. Yet again, there's another 90-degree, well, let's say, put it to you this way. Watch out emotionally how you come across to others in your career or with your ego, and don't allow your emotions to become dubious or deceitful in any way. And in other words, watch your reputation and your public standing with this aspect. Then on also on July 10th, Venus leaves Leo and enters Virgo in your 4th house of the home at 2 o'clock and 33 minutes on July 10th, which creates a very much a love for your being in your home, either your physical or emotional home base. And then on July 13th, the new moon occurs in your 2nd house of money and what you value in Cancer. And here's when it gets interesting. So now this is 20 degrees Cancer, 41 minutes. But get this. Also on July 13th, well, now there's also this conjunction happening between, obviously, anytime the sun and moon come together, there's going to be a conjunction. However, look what happens on July 13th. there becomes a partial solar eclipse in Cancer, as this is one of a most profound times when you can really change along with this new moon in financial ways that you never even dreamed of. Plus, the values that you hold dear may even be changing with this partial solar eclipse. And this is the glyph, so to speak, in felt form that looks kind of like a little time bomb, but that's what it shows in any ephemeris for the solar eclipse, or partial solar eclipse, excuse me. Then on July 14th, Mercury conjuncts the moon. Once the moon goes into your third house of communications and now conjuncts your ruling planet Gemini, so now you have even an ability to communicate in a most monumental way, in a sense, because of this partial solar eclipse as well, but giving you the intensity, almost as if your ruling planet and moon were right here in your first house. This is what gives you, or will be giving you, the intensity and the emotional verve in your communications with others. So be careful of that, though. Be mindful of that. Then on July 17th, the sun sextiles. Oh, goodness. The sun sextiles the moon. Once the moon goes into your fourth house of the home, so the sun sextile the moon from your fourth to your second houses, you now have another very pleasant 60-degree angle, or flow as I like to call it, with this aspect, because it's a short 2-house away aspect from Virgo to Cancer. So earth, water, water, earth. And with this very pleasant and even harmonious sextile between the sun and the moon, you now have the ability to go after your soul's desire in the shape of your values, and reinvent or go after something financially for and to and through, maybe perhaps purchasing a home or doing something to remodel your home, perhaps. And then on July 19th, the sun then goes and squares the moon. Once the moon goes into your fifth house of romance and creativity, and so emotions are charged with this 90-degree angle, in other words, like that. Like that, between the sun in your second house of money and your fifth house of romance and creativity. You may want to be mindful of possibly overspending because you will emotionally regret it, maybe? I don't know. And then on July 19th as well, there is a first quarter moon occurring at 27 degrees Libra, 5 minutes. And with this first quarter moon and that lingering energy of the square, there is possibly a new romance, maybe. Then on July 22nd, the sun then trines the moon once the moon goes into your 6th house of work, health, and service given in Scorpio. So there's a very harmonious ability to emotionally interact in a big way with coworkers and higher ups in the workplace, or take care of your health in a nurturing way because the sun is still in Cancer. Then on excuse me. Then on July 24th, your ruling planet Mercury trines the moon when the moon goes into your 7th house of others, and not just the self, but the house of others and significant relationships. So now you have the moon in your opposite sun sign of Sagittarius harmoniously trining your ruling planet. So from the 7th to the 3rd houses, the 3rd house, of communication, and your 7th house of others, you have the ability to emotionally, harmoniously communicate with and through others. So consciously communicating harmoniously and emotionally with your significant partner or even business associates. Then on July 26th, your ruling planet goes retrograde. But it only goes retrograde for a time. I'll have to look and see when it goes direct again. But on July 26th, Mercury goes retrograde. And then also on July 26th, the moon goes into your 8th house and conjuncts Pluto. Moon conjuncts Pluto, so you will be emotionally transforming through others' values or from others' values. And then hang on. Do you know what I forgot? And I apologize so much here. Oh boy. The sun left Cancer on July 22nd. Okay, my bad. The sun left Cancer on July 22nd, but entered your 3rd house of communications in Leo. So, but there is still that lingering energy of nurturing. Then, on July 27th, the moon goes full in Aquarius at 4 degrees Aquarius, 45 minutes. And then there's another transformational major change coming along with this barbell-shaped glyph symbol of the total lunar eclipse going to be happening on July 27th at T minus 109 thousandths. I don't exactly know how that's expressed, but there is a total lunar eclipse happening in your 9th house of the higher mind, law, religion, and philosophy, between the sun in Leo and the full moon in Aquarius. Something for those of you with Gemini risings and or those, well, but definitely most specifically if you have Gemini rising and the lunar eclipse, total lunar eclipse touches or happens in your 9th house, you are going to be eclipsing out something to do with how you change or change about. Something new is going to happen, or something that you're going to be letting go and eclipsing out is going to be happening during this full moon on July 27th. Then finally, also the day before that, since Jupiter had been going retrograde, it now goes direct. And that happened on July 26th when this goes direct. So big energy to go forward. But then on July 29th, your ruling planet finally makes its last opposition. Keep in mind, though, it's retrograde for the time being, but it makes its last opposition, excuse me if I bumped the camera, to the full moon. And let me see here, how long is that Mercury retrograde? Mercury is retrograde until August 19th, when on August 19th it goes direct again. So you are going to really have to pay attention and be mindful about what you say. Jot down what is written and spoken from the conscious mind to, or from your higher mind. In other words, you know what I mean? Like what you're saying to yourself, your higher self, what you're saying to your higher self versus how you outwardly express with this opposition, especially during this total lunar eclipse, the full moon, and to and toward your ruling planet Mercury, is going to be quite an awareness or eye-opening point for you. So be very aware. Be very aware with this 180-degree opposition between your ruling planet, Gemini, especially since it's retrograde. So your going to be going through probably one of the biggest challenges of all the signs in the month and toward the end of the month, especially on the last day of the month, July 29th, of all the signs. But just be aware of how you communicate, especially with this full moon, and especially since it's retrograde your ruling planet, Mercury. So there's a lot of changes afoot. So with that said, I do, however, want you to enjoy your month and enjoy your 4th of July. Don't worry so much with this. I know you, like Virgos, worry too much because Virgo is also ruled by Mercury. So with that said, Gemini, please feel free to like, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe. And thank you very much for looking up upon the North Star. And until we meet again, I'll see you next month in August. Enjoy!